Parashat Ele Pekude Mishkan, the second parasha that we'll be reading this coming Shabbat, tells us about the completion of the Mishkan. Strikingly, the language that's used to describe the completion of the Mishkan bears a lot of similarities to the completion of the world, the creation of the world that Hashem did in Maaseh Bereshit. So, for instance, the Torah tells us in Maaseh Bereshit, "Vaychulu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tzeva'am," and all of the shamayim and the aretz, the heavens and the earth, were completed. And when the Torah tells us about the completion of the Mishkan, it tells us, "Vatechel kol avodat hamishkan." All of the work that needed to be made in order to finish the Mishkan was complete. Same word, vaychulu, vatechel. And then, in Maaseh Bereshit, in the creation of the world, God offers a beracha. Vayvarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i. And God blessed the seventh day, the Shabbat. And Moshe too, when the Mishkan was completed, he too blessed, this time Bnei Israel. So that these similarities, and many more, show us that the Torah wanted to parallel Maaseh Bereshit, the creation of the world, to the making and the completion of the Mishkan. Why so? I believe that the answer is because the Torah wanted us to see the Mishkan as the completion, in a way, of the creation of the world. God created the world in 7 days, and he left the world in such a way that it could still be completed by human beings. God introduced Kiddusha, he introduced Beracha, he introduced holiness, and he introduced blessing into the world by making the world. But in a sense, that world was incomplete until Moshe and Bnei Israel would come along and make their own creation, the Mishkan. And that Mishkan would bring Beracha, and that Mishkan, with its completion, would be Bnei Israel's contribution to the perfection of the world. In a sense, what the Torah is trying to tell us is that there is this great partnership between Borei Olam, between Hashem, and between Bnei Israel. Hashem began the creation of the world, and he left for human beings to complete it and to introduce their own Kiddusha, their own Beracha. And this is a theme that follows us throughout Jewish thought. One particular example comes to mind. Hashem created the Shabbat and endowed it with Kiddusha. Bnei Israel, through Hashem's mandate, are the ones that make the Mu'adim, that make the holidays holy, and they create the time periods for those holidays based on the words of the Torah. So that the Torah wants to tell us that it was not, and it is not only Hashem who can make the world a better place, who introduces Kiddusha, who completes. It's Bnei Israel, it's human beings who have the capacity, by God's grace, to bring about Kiddusha, to bring Beracha into this world. Shabbat Shalom.